Hey guys and girls, how's it going? Hope you guys having a great week. So it is Gaming News Friday, guys, which means on Friday we're going to pick a game topic and have a discussion about it. This week it is going to be PlayStation 5 related, but I'm going to do something a little bit different today, guys. So instead of just me going through this news and giving you my opinion, I've actually got some friends and fellow gamers in on the stream with me today. So I have got, there's 5 of us, including me, in on here. So I don't know if you guys want to introduce yourselves. Do you want to go first, Edge?
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name is Edge. I have been gaming for many years. Currently, I do a couple of videos at the moment on Monster Hunter, Resident Evil, and I swear a lot. That is probably what you probably will know me for the most.
And troll a lot.
I do troll a lot, yeah.
Yeah. We also have Dante.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello.
I need no introduction.
He doesn't need any introduction. Everybody really knows Dante, and he's featured on many of my videos before. And of course, we've got Krak-On with us.
Hey, so yeah, you've got Fish from Krak-On Gaming. Done a couple of things with Kate in the past, so we shall continue this trend, hopefully.
Awesome.
And much like Edge, I do have a tendency to swear a lot, though I will try and keep a cap on it.
Especially when you're having copious amounts of rum.
Yes, if rum is involved, then the swearing just gets worse.
And finally, we've got Ven with us today.
Hello, yes, I'm Ven. So I've been gaming since Commodore 64 era, give or take.
Yeah, good old
so,
days.
and I like to have opinions, hence I'm here.
Hence, we got you involved on this, which is great. So we have a thread on WhatsApp that we often send stuff in, and this article came in, and obviously it's very relevant at the moment, so we wanted to discuss it and debate on it. So let's go through the article first, guys. I'll just sort of read through, refresh everybody's memory, give my take on it, and then I'm going to throw it out to the rest of you in terms of what your take is on it and what your general opinion is on it. Yeah? So this year, obviously, is a massive, 2020 has been frigging crazy. But obviously, at the end of the year, we have got next-gen consoles coming in. Obviously, the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. We were supposed to have a PS5 event tomorrow. That has been cancelled at the moment. However, Jim Ryan, the CEO of Sony, did actually shed a bit more light on the PS5, and specifically talking about the PS5 when it's released, and the fact that PS5 games are not going to be compatible with the PlayStation 4. So Sony basically want to make a very, very neat, tidy transition into the PS5 console, into that era. So I'm just going to read through what Jim Ryan said. So he said basically, we have always said that we believe in generations. We believe that when you go to all the trouble of creating a next-gen console, that it should include features and benefits that the previous generation does not include. In our view, people should make games that can make the most of those features, whether it's the DualSense controller, 3D audio, or whether it's the multiple ways that a solid-state drive can be used. We are thinking that it's time to give the PlayStation community something new, something different, that can only really be enjoyed on the PlayStation 4. So what he's basically saying there is any first-party titles that come out on the PlayStation 5 will not be available on the PS4 from launch. That's a complete contradiction to what Microsoft are doing. Microsoft basically have confirmed that for the first 2 years of the Xbox Series X's release, all games, all first-party games, will be available across all platforms. So available on old gen and new gen as well. So yeah, it seems like they're taking 2 very, very different approaches to this next generation of hardware and game releases. So my take on it, I kind of side with Sony on this. I actually prefer to make that transition quicker. Generally speaking, I feel when you've got new hardware and new tech, that you really you want to take advantage of it. So with the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, I felt that the first 2 to 3 years of the console's life wasn't great. There weren't that many really, really good games that just kind of wowed you and made you think, oh wow, this really is next gen. And a lot of games were held back because they had to still use the old tech on the old consoles. So for me, I'm all for this. I very much, when it's a new generation and I'm putting down £500, £400 on a new console, I really want to get my money's worth when it comes to those games, and what they can show and what they can do. And I think it offers more freedom for developers as well to really sort of use that technology correctly. So I agree with Sony on this view. What do you guys think?
So I think it's the interesting point on it is that it's a slightly different question. Basically, Sony are the only house left playing the traditional generational game. Nintendo abandoned that with the Wii, and Microsoft have decided that they want to go down what they've always envisaged for the Xbox from day one, and they're now finally moving towards it, of an evergreen platform. Series X isn't getting the big exclusives because Series X isn't a next-gen console, insofar as it is just an Xbox machine.
Yeah.
Whatever follows up the Series X will effectively be like when you update a PC. Okay, cool. I can play Halo 12, but it plays it slightly better than my Series X, which plays it slightly better than my Xbox One. So it's not necessarily even a positive or negative. It's just a very different approach to how they're doing business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I mean, it's very obvious that with Microsoft that they are going the way of PC. You know, this idea of you can play it in any version. And that is better for the consumer, without a doubt, because there are some people that don't want to get their console day one. You know, they prefer to wait until more games have come out on it. And it does give you more freedom, most definitely. And as well, especially with sort of the Xbox Game Pass, they are very much going with this whole PC streaming, massive library of games. And you can play it on any version. Even games that you buy now on the Xbox One, and I'm sure the Xbox Series X, you get for free on PC anyway. And you can play it on PC as well. So, yeah, I think and maybe it's because it's Microsoft. And that's kind of always been their vision. I kind of agree with you on that. I don't think it's necessarily better or worse. But
no, so it's a lot of the difference is how the companies view themselves. Sony views itself very much as a hardware company, or at least traditionally has, which is often why they're sticking with this strict generational difference. The PlayStation 5 is a distinct piece of hardware, and that's the identity. With Series X, Microsoft, who have always viewed themselves as a software company, because traditionally they always were, they're doubling down on making the software the focus rather than the hardware. Sure, you can buy a Series X, but you don't have to. They don't really care as long as you're still buying the games.
yeah.
Similarly, just to complete that for interest, Nintendo view themselves as a toy company. Always have, always will.
Yeah. Yeah, Nintendo have always
been.
they've always run to the beat of their own drum, which is what I like about them. You know, they don't care what other people think and what other people say, and I kind of respect them for that. It takes a lot of balls to do that. What about the rest of you? What are your thoughts on it?
I think Sony have the right idea in the sense that it drives more innovation. I mean, using the last couple of generations of consoles as an example, do we really need another version of Skyrim on the PS5? I mean,
No.
seriously.
No, that game's been re-released like a million times.
That's one of the things that I think seriously hindered the gaming industry over the last couple of years. Is there's been a lack of innovation in some areas where people, rather than focusing efforts on something new, have just chosen to re-release the same game. You know, I mean, how many iterations of Skyrim did we have? Something stupid like 5, 6?
Yeah, a lot. Too many on every platform.
Yeah, and you just don't need it. So the decision to cut away from that and say, make a clean break and say, look, the PS5 is going to be for PS5 games. At the end of the day, we're going to move forward. I think there's also a smart element to it in the sense that how many times have Nintendo at the end of their console brought a game out only to have it absolutely tank, even when it's the type of game which should outright just fly off the shelves because nobody's buying it because they know that the next console generation's coming out. Yeah, Twilight Princess, they churned it out on the GameCube, and yeah, although it's a bit of a rare one to get hold of now, it was rare because no one bought it. Because everyone was holding out for the Wii version. The final point on the whole supporting across generations, that is ultimately not the bad marketing of the Saturn, or the too soon distribution of the Dreamcast. The big nail in the coffin for Sega was they tried to support too many console generations at once, and they just couldn't maintain it.
Do you think Microsoft might have the same issue?
No, I disagree. I don't think they'll have the same issue regarding Xbox and the direction they're going. I don't think that they're going to have the problem of supporting multiple generations because, as Ven's pointed out, the direction they're going is that whatever you buy now will be playable going forward into the future. My argument against that is just effectively, again, if you're just effectively going down a PC gaming route in a console,
people are just going to get PC.
Just get a PC. By the point you can compartmentally update bits of the PC that you need to update as you go and spread that cost.
Yeah.
Whereas effectively, Xbox are going to go down the route of, we're saying it's just like PC gaming, but there's still going to be newer models of that console coming out as time goes on, which are just going to compound the amount of expenditure in a single go. So
it's like stack of Xboxes all on top of each other that you don't use anymore.
Yeah, I think for me anyway, with even though I am interested in like both of their business policies and everything, whenever I choose a next gen console anyway, it's always about the games. So is there something that looks amazing on that console that I really want to pick up and play? If the answer is no, there isn't anything, or I could play it on my, like, for example, the new Halo. Is it Infinite? Halo Infinite? I've got very little interest in it, to be fair. I'm kind of bored of Halo. But the new Halo Infinite, I can just play that on my Xbox One. You know what I mean? So there's nothing really pushing me to want to pick it up. Similarly with the PlayStation 5, I mean, obviously, I really want to know what games are coming out for it. But if I see a game and that really does, I would go, wow, that looks incredible, and I really want to pick that up and play, then I'm gonna pick up and buy a PlayStation 5. So I don't.
I think that's exactly the intended response, really.
Yeah.
Because again, Sony really want you to buy that 500, 400, whatever it is, piece of hardware, because they bank a lot of their coin off that. Whereas Microsoft, they don't want you to care if you're buying your Series X or an Xbox One or an X2, whatever comes further down the line. So they just want to go, well, here's a game, you can play it. It'll play on an Xbox One, might play better on the Series X, and give it if this plan they have works, give it a decade or so. Sure, there'll be games that will come out that won't play on the Xbox One because it won't have the horsepower. In the same way that you're not going to play the latest big PC game on a 15-year-old rig that's kind of sat in the corner crying, wishing it didn't have Windows Vista installed on it.
Yeah.
But but in the shorter term, their angle is, again, it's platform over hardware. And where I think is going to be interesting, and you're absolutely right, is the games. Over the last generation, really two, we've already been hitting diminishing returns, and that's not unique to video games. All technology has been hitting that barrier, whereby we're pushing the numbers. The hardware is getting exponentially more powerful, but the results it can deliver to the end user are not increasing at the same exponential rate. And if you look from 8-bit to 16-bit to 32-bit, then to sort of N64 era and onwards, right up until sort of PlayStation 2 era, each generation was a big leap of wow. But from PlayStation 2 onwards, it's sort of been incremental, and then from from the current gen to next gen, it's going to feel even more incremental. So you're right, it'll come down to the games. But considering that the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 are running on basically the same hardware and architectural level, neither of them has any significant tricks that the other can't do. So it's going to be very interesting to see what games come down. And what I would really, really hate to see is it come to the point whereby which console becomes the one to get is solely based on which one has the exclusives. When you consider in the past, you'd often one console would be better than another console because it could do certain things which enabled a certain type of game experience. I don't think we're going to see that with next gen because you're going to get very similar.
I think even with this current gen, it has been about exclusives. And that is why PlayStation has dominated. Because the PS4 is a way superior exclusive compared to the Xbox One.
And I think that's a large part of it because, it drives developers to get, or not even developers, but it drives the companies to get those good games out there, to strive for something that's going to be a good game. As you've said, Ven, Sony are the product company. They're not a software company. They want you to buy the new console, and the best way that they're going to convince you to buy that new console is by having a game on there that is absolutely knock your socks off.
Yeah.
That people are going to talk about, that people are going to want to play.
Yeah.
My concern is the Xbox route will cause developers to become lazier in what they are putting out there, and we will just end up getting more of these, let's have the same game re-released. And this is coming from somebody who is a diehard Nintendo fan, who's made well aware that most of their games are the same game re-released over and over again just to look better. But I genuinely think that there needs to be, to some extent in the industry, a console generation to help drive that need to why do you want somebody to get this machine? As you said, what's my incentive to buy it? There's an absolutely amazing game on it that I cannot live without. That's your incentive.
Yeah.
But that game is part of driving not only why you buy it, but it's also part of driving the industry to do better.
I want both to do well because competition is healthy at the end of the day. But I want developers to push. I want them to stop playing it safe. I think too many developers in the current generation have played it safe. We've had too many same games, too many open world games. Some with worlds that are amazing, some with worlds that, for all intents, don't need to be open world, and this whole single player linear is no longer what people want, which is complete BS. I want developers to do something different, and I think and that's why I like what Sony is saying, because they're saying, right, this is incredibly powerful, this is all the technology in it, because of these, go at it, go full force from the beginning. And that's, what's going to push on development, I think.
I'll be interested to see what the developers do with that, because again, back to the point of diminishing returns, what you can do, putting aside the impressive graphical leaps, what you can do with the PlayStation 5's power versus the PlayStation 4 in terms of game experience is going to be the interesting thing. But also, to come back on Fisher's point, cast your minds back to early 2000s when we were all getting very excited about this strange new thing of Microsoft getting involved in gaming.
Yeah.
Now you remember, we weren't talking about the hardware. This generation coming up, everyone's talking about the hardware.
Yeah.
Early 2000s, we were talking about one thing, Halo. We weren't talking about the hardware, we were talking about the game. And people were losing their mind over the Xbox because they needed to play Halo, which is exactly right.
That's my point, though, is they were brand new into the market. That's exactly the point I'm making as regards the PlayStation 5. Yes, it is the game that sells the console. They were a new console into the market, we already had Nintendo well established. PlayStation had established themselves with the PlayStation 1, and the PlayStation 2 just continued to go to that strength.
Yeah.
So out comes Microsoft out of nowhere saying, you want to buy our console, and everybody's going, again, main attitude, the tech heads are going, well, it's a PC, so why don't I just have a PC? What they needed to sell the Xbox was that game. And it was the drive to sell the console which made them produce Halo. And that is why I feel you need the console generation, is because I think it inspires companies to produce better games, because it's the exclusives that sell things at the end of the day. And as we said, competition is healthy. I think if we make it so that we're all on one platform, or everything is available across multiple platforms, then it will lead to an element of stagnance.
I don't think it would lead. I don't think it would lead to it. I think we're already there.
Well, precisely, but I think again a large part of that is again because there aren't that much in the way of exclusives anymore. Anything that was really an exclusive is either A, the stuff that Nintendo have their claws in and isn't going anywhere. I mean, even look at this. Things like Ori and the Blind Forest was an Xbox game. It's made its way on to
PC and Switch.
PC and Switch. Now, I can understand the PC because that's kind of...
I think there's more exclusives on the PlayStation. I think Microsoft seem to be veering away from that exclusives, kind of thing. But with PlayStation, there are still very set. Like Uncharted series is only on the PlayStation. God of War only on the PlayStation. New Spider-Man only on the PlayStation. I was surprised that Horizon Zero Dawn is becoming available on PC. That shocked the hell out of me. But I think, so I think that's the difference in the mentality of them. I mean, Edge and Dante, you guys have been pretty quiet. What's your take on it?
You see, I'm a bit... There's a lot that I want to kind of mention. So I'm not particularly excited for the next generation at the moment, and for a number of reasons. One, so quickly about PlayStation. My only concern with PlayStation's current strategy is as long as they do the whole backwards compatibility with PS4, and as long as they do well with their eShop, where you buy games online, I'm fine. My only concern is every generation we go into, it's like they just go back to step one. You've got this wonderful Xbox, to their credit, have had a really lackluster variety of games this generation, but their backwards catalogue has been amazing.
Agreed.
Whereas with PlayStation, the PS3 eShop was amazing. I could play PS1 games, PS2 games. If I was waiting for that next big PS3 game to come out, but I was bored, I could go back on their library and download it, whatever. Here on the PS4, it's like they've taken a back step. They've given us really cool features that I've personally found interesting, like the streaming and the video editing and sharing gameplay of games, which I think is great to promote games. But when it comes to being able to play anything from previous generations, it's shit. And their PlayStation Now service, I'm not interested in it because it's just like a rushed catch up. So for me, I like the fact that they're focusing on PS5 games, but the problem with that is they have to have a very good, strong roster of games for the launch. Otherwise, you're twiddling your thumbs for the first few months with no backwards, with the PS4, for example, with no backwards compatibility at times.
There is going to be, just to be clarify on that, because I always want to make sure I give the right information. There is going to be backwards compatibility with the PS4, so they have confirmed that all games might not run initially from the beginning. They haven't said which games and how many.
There was a line where they said it was going to be most compatible with the installation of a patch.
With a patch, did you say?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, they have said that.
Which I'm like, okay.
But they haven't really clarified it, to be fair, so we don't know exactly which games are going to be backwards. They might do what Xbox did, where they have a certain number that's backwards compatible from the beginning, and then maybe they start adding to that catalogue.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, my argument with the backwards catalogue as well is we're currently now in June, and it's holiday 2020 when these consoles are coming out.
Yep.
And both of them are playing just too close to the chest. And I think you generally need like a good couple of months to build up that love for it. I mean, yeah, you could arguably say from now, if they were to release stuff this month or next month, they could spend the next few months building up the hype. But there's like nothing. There's been barely any information. And though they might have said, we have got some launch titles, I don't care at the moment. It's very frustrating because you've got these consoles which they're wanting to push, but we know nothing of the faculties of them. We don't know if they're going to keep a lot of the features from the current. It will all work out well as long as they focus on with the PlayStation. Their biggest problem has been just the catalog on their eShop. And just being able to play backwards, just having some backwards compatibility. With the PS3, you had that backwards compatibility in their eShop, and with the PS.
Yeah, being able to take your discs and put them in.
It just felt more
Having to
complete.
re-download them, which just really bugged the hell out of me on the Xbox One.
First generation of PlayStation 3 had the facility to actually play PlayStation games.
Yeah.
PlayStation 1 games.
PlayStation 2, you mean?
PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
I could play PS1 on my slimline PS3. It was great because you had that backwards compatibility, so it meant that in those points where there was no games coming out, you could just revisit old classics, and it catered to a wider audience. With the PS5, even if they had like say 5 or 6 really good launch titles, you know, this is going to be like that 4 or 5 months where literally there's going to be nothing coming out because you're waiting for developers to produce for it. And with it being so short notice at the moment from now until the summer holiday season, I just don't see how. I mean, it's even stated at the moment that they've made less units comparatively to the launch of the PS3.
Well, they're estimating, because obviously I think there's like 100 million people on PS4, and they're estimating that maybe 25 million will make that transition to the PS5. So they're not going to be making as many units because they don't anticipate they're going to sell as many. I don't know about Microsoft because they haven't really said anything in terms of what.
I think a large part of that might as well just be as part of the economic climate at the moment.
It could well be with coronavirus and everything. Yeah.
It's that they're not anticipating that people will be rushing to have or won't have the money to go out.
Well, yeah, especially the longer everything goes on, people are not going to have the facility to save for an expensive piece of tech.
To echo Edge's point, I agree. I think the reason why nobody is really interested in the next gen console as of yet is because we don't know anything about it. It's all speculation at the moment. And you can see it online with all these companies who go, oh, look, we've got information about it. And they say, we've got information that there's a new console coming. It's like, yeah, that's not information. Everybody's desperate to know what's going to be happening with it.
Yeah.
But nobody knows.
Yeah.
And as a result, it's very difficult to get hyped up for something where there isn't even the slightest bit to kind of get you excited about.
Yeah, but when you think about that as well, like when the PS3 and the Xbox 360 launched, you had E3, you had these big conference events where they were just showcasing games and features and all sorts. Whereas with like this current generation, this is like the first couple of years now where we've had less and less support from Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. I mean, Nintendo do really well with their Nintendo Directs. I think that's great because then they can just focus on what they want to talk about and not trying to compete with, say, Sony and Microsoft and their big whatever they want to do. But it just seems like there's no big platform for them to push these things. And you could say like play next thing, whatever they're doing, or the state of play.
Yeah.
But like I haven't been interested in watching that in months. And it just seems like they haven't quite got it right as to how they want to showcase what they're doing.
Yeah, they were supposed to be doing a big state of play tomorrow, where they were actually going to be showcasing their PS5 roster, like which games are actually going to be available on day one. They were supposed to be doing that tomorrow, but they've postponed it because of obviously what's happening in America at the moment. And Microsoft have said in July that they're going to have an exclusive stream just from their first party studios about what first party titles are going to be available on the Xbox Series X. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. It's too late. Like, this should have, you know what I mean? And maybe it's a difficult situation because of what's going on in the world with coronavirus and them having just to work out people working from home and that kind of thing. So it's not so easy to kind of, maybe they did have massive plans, but obviously they've kind of gone out the window because of obviously what's happening. But yeah, I agree with you about the features, knowing specifically to what extent is it going to be backwards compatible, you know, what specifically, because you're making that commitment, you know what I mean? And I've got a massive backlog of games on my PS4, freaking massive backlog of games, and I know I want to be able to play my PS4 games as well as any new PS5 games on a PS5.
If you look at, say, PS3 was shafted really hard by Xbox 360 and Nintendo Wii because at the time you could get both consoles for less than the PS3.
Yes.
And they focused so much on the Blu-ray and everything else. But then in the next generation, Xbox really effed up.
Yeah.
And then the PS4 just dominated.
Yep.
So it's not even a question of picking one or the other because you just don't know. This year, is Sony now going to take another dip again?
I think it'll definitely depend on game releases, price point. Price point will be an important one, I think, as well. But we are kind of slightly going off tangent on the whole thing. You haven't said anything, Dante. Have you got any take on this?
I was mostly going to say that the guys have covered about 3 or 4 of the points I was going to raise.
Okay.
And so I feel like I just end up repeating. But basically, any new console that is backwards compatible is all good in my book because that backlog needs to be continued playing.
Yeah.
I think the concept of people complaining that they couldn't play PS5 games on it's like trying to say the new Final Fantasy VII remake that should be able to play on the PS3. Like, no. What the developer's going to do? They're going to downscale the graphics to high buggery, or they're going to. It's just not something that needs to be done. You'd play it on the most recent console. As long as you can bring your old games to the future, it shouldn't matter too much if you're playing backwards.
You know what? I say, and we are drifting slightly off topic in terms of it, but backwards compatibility, I don't think it's nice to have. And I say that, and I say this as as you guys all know, but obviously your channel won't necessarily know. I'm more of an old platform gamer, partly because I'm a tight ass, but partly because I've got a massive ass backlog. But I have a flawless backwards compatibility plan. I've still got all the machines to play the games. So if you want, the risk of sounding glib, if you want PlayStation 4 backwards compatibility, keep your PlayStation 4. The only console in the last generation or two that made me sit up and go wow was the Nintendo Switch, and that was when they did their release videos and showed some really innovative ways to play. And again, it was all about how you used the device, how you played it, and the games that were on it. And that has no backwards compatibility whatsoever. Obviously, the NES and SNES Virtual Console stuff that's been more recent ones available, notwithstanding. So, again, I think it really comes back down to the earlier point. It'll be a feature or a game that makes people sit up and go wow, and that wow factor is conspicuous by its absence, and it makes me ponder if there even is a wow factor in the pipeline, because surely if there was a killer app, a killer game coming to these platforms, they'd be making noise about it. They'd be drip feeding. They'd be building the hype machine again. Just going back to Halo for the original Xbox, that was. People were getting hyped about that for a year and a half, 2 years before it came out. I
think it was because it was the first time you could play online as well, the Xbox, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then when you saw Halo and you saw people playing online with friends, and people were like, oh my god, and that's what made people freak out. Yeah, that was the big leap again. I think you are right. I think it's incremental leaps.
It's when I had that realization that people have friends.
We're gamers are friends. Yeah.
But this comes back to the earlier point of diminishing returns. So, there's no, from what Sony said about PlayStation 5, the kind of things they're really pushing, they're going like, oh, we've got 3D sound. Yeah, okay, I don't think that's going to make a huge difference. DualSense controller, okay, well, I don't know they haven't really told us what that means in any sense. But again, I'm interested in that, but DualSense to me just feels like it's going to be covered in capacitive trackpads, and okay, maybe you can do some interesting stuff on that, but it's still broadly traditional controller.
I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to make games more and more immersive. So you say like 3D sound. One game I can think of where that was used to amazing effect was, I don't know if you guys have played it, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
It's amazing.
Which was about mental illness, schizophrenia, and hearing voices. And the whole way when you're playing the game, there are these voices that are in your head that are berating you and talking to you, and they go all around you and they're going in and out. And that was the case of 3D audio done incredibly well. And the effect that had on me, like when playing that game, like I literally like. There was one point where it was so well done that I literally had a panic attack. Like I literally was breathing too quick and too rapid and felt claustrophobic that I had to take my headset off and sort of step out of the room.
It definitely was one for head.
And that was a wow moment for me. That was my game of the year because it was a small UK indie developer. And that was the case of, wow, that's incredible. And so if that excites me, the idea, well, if you can use it in a creative way,
oh, absolutely,
it could be amazing.
But it's not a new technology. This is
no, it's not. It isn't new technology.
They're going like, hey, we've got 3D audio. Yeah, you and everyone else since 1995, buddy. I think early mid 90s is when that kind of using two speakers, particularly headphones, to create a 3D-esque effect was around about then. It was technological cube sound way back when, if anyone's interested. So I mean, that technology is old as the hills. It's not new and unique, and that's where I'm. This is probably where Microsoft have taken the path they're taking, because they're looking at the hardware and going, guys, it can't really do anything that the Xbox One can't. So sure, let's let people have a higher res, shiny, maybe slightly faster loading version of the game on the Series X. But basically, I think Microsoft are looking at the hardware and going, it's going to be fundamentally the same kind of experiences that people are going to put together. And anybody that comes up with a truly unique, amazing kind of game, I don't think that's going to be because of the hardware. I think that's going to be because a creative mind has come up with an amazing experience.
Yeah. I've actually lost track which one of them are now claiming to have the most powerful console in the world.
Oh, I think Xbox, because theirs has got 12 teraflops. Not that anyone cares. They've got like 0.5 teraflops more, something stupid like that, than the PlayStation. For me, it's going to be about the games.
So I'm expecting no loading screens whatsoever then.
Well, that's what they're saying. Yeah, they're saying this whole loading times jumping in quicker. They're talking about, larger, more expansive worlds, things not having to render in. Game design where you have to create this like, we're going to move you in this direction so that all the stuff behind you can kind of like spawn in by distracting you on this thing on here, or having like different like in level loading times, things to distract you from stuff that's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, squish him in that tight narrow space. So
here's this narrow corridor. So yeah, exactly. So they're talking about things like not having to do little things like that, and that's where they're talking about it's going to revolutionize the way games are developed and that kind of thing. It'd be interesting to see, definitely.
One of my bugbears, and it's slightly tangential, but it is kind of related. So they're talking about they're going to have all this power and all this speed, so the developers don't have to do all these tricks about how well to render it, etc. And in terms of like a massive, I can see they're going to have like obviously the ability to have a bigger contiguous area, which I can see being beneficial to some particular types of games. So if we look at XCOM 2, which has been brought to the Switch recently, which in and of itself, that was done at all, is a hell of a technical feat. But when I was reading an article about this, and the message that really, really shone through in that article from the developers that ported the game was, and this is paraphrasing, this is not how they put it at all, but XCOM 2 was a really, really, really inefficiently put together game. There was no consolation put towards optimization whatsoever because they were targeting platforms with boatloads of RAM, tons of storage space, so why, and loads of CPU capacity, so why bother? They got it working on the Switch by going, okay, first of all, we need to get the file size down. And with a little bit of snipping and a little bit of optimization, they cleaved something like 16 gig off the file size to get it on the Switch.
Yeah.
And they did similar tricks with optimizing how the game was running to get it to play nice with the Switch's much smaller amount of RAM compared to the platforms it was targeted. So that, to me, if you're going to have more power, then use that power to make a more impressive game, not to make your development sloppy.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, I mean, again, to go down that route and to support that argument, again, you mentioned the Switch. Look at The Witcher 3. Sure, all the reviews of it basically went, okay, yeah, it's not as good as it runs on the PC or the PlayStation 4, but the fact that it's running on the Switch at all
Is impressive.
and looks
Portable.
as good as it does is an absolute bloody miracle.
Yeah.
Their argument wasn't, hey, look at it, it's on the Switch and it's just as good. They acknowledged that, yeah, it doesn't look as good, but the fact that it looks the way it does and it's running on the blooming Switch is something that is absolutely astounding.
So we're gonna have to wrap up on this, guys, because we're coming to like 47 minutes on this video. So before we, and some of that's going to be me having to cut and edit because we've had bits where people have been dropping in and out, so I'll have to have a look at cleaning that up. Before we obviously, break on this, does anybody have any like final points that they want to make or anything they want to reference or talk about?
I think Michael, go for it, Dante.
I was going to say I think everyone should visit Krak-On Gaming. Get it pimped out there, Squiddy. Go.
Thank you very much.
I would echo that. Go crack on with Krak-On Gaming.
Right. Okay.
Pleasure to be part of this discussion and be part of M7Kate's channel.
No worries. Well, I've actually kind of enjoyed it, even though we've had a few technical blips on the audio. I kind of like discussing and debating these things, and I think it's good to hear other opinions, other sides, and it's good for my subscribers as well because it might make them think about something differently. It might open them up to a different opinion and a different view. So no, it's been good. It's been kind of cool to discuss it. So obviously we're going to wrap this video up there, guys. Thank you so much, everybody. Edge, Dante, Fish, and Ven for joining me. Really appreciate you guys have just taken a bit of time out of your day to jump on and be free for this chat. So thank you for that. Really appreciate it. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video, of course. Please let me know what you guys think of this topic in the comment section below. Let's get a discussion going, guys. I'd like to see what your thoughts are on it, and what's your take on, the future of gaming and where things are going, and the two different kind of ethos of Microsoft and Sony. Get a discussion going in the comments. Obviously, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button as always to show your support. Subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. Anyway, hope you guys having a great week. Take care. And as always, happy gaming. Bye. Bye, guys.